Gonna need a gap filler. Gonna need a puddle sucker too. Might also need a Jenny.
And another Sanger.
Whatever you need, Coates Hire has a million pieces of equipment. Call 13 15 52.
We're back and ready to race. On the left of your screen there, just having a chat through the door of the car, ACT Minister for Tourism, Mr. Ted Quinlan. Just ahead of him is the Federal Minister for Cricket, Mr. Stephen Waugh. And we also have there the Federal Minister for V8 Supercars in the glasses, Mr. Tony Cochrane. Very official occasion here in Canberra. Even though it's a little cool, they're all enjoying themselves immensely on the grid as we get set for race 3. Lots of sunlight out there as well, which is wonderful to see.
Now listen, had the pole sitter been determined on championship points gained, then Skaife would have had position 1. But here there's a catch. It's based on a system that rewards the driver with the best combined placing. So Marcus Ambrose will start on pole position courtesy of a 4th and a 6th. Sorry about the confusion there. You'll see that Mark Skaife started from position 4. Tander Bright is there as well. Larry Perkins from 9. Craig Lowndes will start from 10.
And if you look at the yellow boxes down the right-hand side of the Nintendo starting grid, it shows where they qualified and where they started race 2. So you get a good idea of how they fared throughout the day. Mark Larkham, for instance, qualified 18, started race 2 from 10. He starts from 17. Big field of cars. Stephen Ellery, Paul Morris, he'll be starting from pit lane. He's got major back troubles. He's been haunted by back problems since that accident at Oran Park. Paul Radisich, Paul Wheel, the walking wounded. So many cars caught up in accidents. Greg Murphy's had a terrible run with a broken drive shaft in race 2. Rick Kelly will start from pit lane as well. Wayne Wakefield, he'll be the last man starting from the grid.
Ambrose on our left, Richards on our right, Skaife on row 2, along with Todd Kelly. This is it, the big one for the Stegbar. Canberra 400, the race that carries the most points for an individual winner. And Skaife, oh, got lots of pressure from Todd Kelly. Stephen Richards and Marcus Ambrose get squeezed back to 4th position.
Well, they got the jump off there, but this is the critical thing. You can see Russell Engel going right up against the rubber tyre walls there in car 8. Everyone holds their breath as they come around on this first lap. Everyone's on cold tyres. The cars don't have optimum grip. And everyone's pushing and shoving to try and get the best track position. Look at the way Richards chucks the car off the flip-flop across the off-camber turn down towards Holden. Really had the car in a big sideways slide. Managed to gather it up as they come down through Holden turn and up Kings Avenue for the first time. 50 laps this time around. A real test.
The Red Army roars, not only because Stephen Richards leads this race from the get-go, but also because Mark Skaife has already gone to the front as well. He's up right behind Stephen Richards. Car number 1's already made the move. Lap 1 and 50. John Bow takes a look down the outside as they swing around State Circle for the first time.
Marcus Ambrose, the top placed forward at the moment. His teammate David Bernard second in the queue as far as the blue ovals go. But there's a pack of Commodores here charging down to Exide Chicane. Punch out of here in second gear. Down toward the Canberra complex. Another fast part of the track and one of the most popular overtaking opportunities. Stephen Richards gets his tail up. Trying to find a break on this field. Every second of time he can find on the track is going to be crucial when he comes in for his 2 compulsory stops.
Straight line racing is the key down there, and patience will be the key for the guys that got the jump put on them from the start, such as Marcus Ambrose. He slotted back a couple of positions. He'll just have to hold his nerve, which I'm sure he'll do. He's a very cool customer. 1 lap down, 49 to go. Marcus Ambrose, you're on board with him. Looking to the rear of Todd Kelly in car number 15. Tander's there. Jason Bright goes through. David Bernard also. Team Brock, Craig Baird. Here's the start. You're looking at Marcus Ambrose looking across to Stephen Richards, and this is where Richards just zips on past.
Yeah, Marcus.
Oh, so much power down from the Castrol Commodore.
Yeah, Marcus has had some problems getting that car off the line. Let's have a look at this from Russell Engel's view. And if you stick with it when he comes through turn 1, you see he gets squeezed right up against the rubber buffers on the outside of the turn. Look, he's right up alongside the team boss there. Stay away from Larry. Larry had his brakes locked up, nudged into the back of the 00 Motorsport car. Russell's left with nowhere to go, and he goes right up against the wall. So plenty of elbowing as this big field of cars tries to squeeze through turn 1. But there it is at the moment. Stephen Richards, Mark Skaife in second, Todd Kelly in third. Marcus Ambrose, Tander and Bright. That's your top 6. He dropped. Oh, big brake lock up from Skaife. Twice he had a stab at the brake pedal. And plenty of smoke pouring from that left front tyre. It's a section of track that catches a lot of cars out, particularly in these early laps. Tyres aren't up to temperature.
Pit window open between 2 and 36. Remember, there's 2 compulsory stops in this race. The big one, 240 points at the end of it for the winner.
It's going to be interesting. Just talking to some of the...
mate. Remember, yellow line's the pit limiter. Don't use too much throttle.
That's Robbie Starr talking to Mark Skaife. It looks like the Holden Racing Team getting ready to zap him in there really early. With the compulsory fuel stop, the likelihood is people will put fuel in first, so they're going to light a fuel load toward the end of the race. But that may not be the way it pans out. I'm sure we're going to see some different pit strategies here. As Skaife gets into the 40 km speed limiter.
Jason Richards comes in behind him. Let's see who takes the early lead and follows Mark Skaife through.
Nice and easy, mate. These will have low pressure, remember, so let them come up. Just get in your rhythm, mate.
Looks like they're going for tyres first. These will have low pressure. Rob Starr talking about the tyres. So that they're going to leave the refuelling till later in the race. Greg Rust is on the spot.
Mark Skaife comes in. And this is a surprise that they're going for tyres first, but there's a few of them in pit lane that are opting for that strategy. The catch team on standby as well. Good stop there, just over 8 seconds for Mark Skaife.
Probably the thinking behind that, Rusty, is that they'd much rather have the car with nice warm tyres on it later in the race should he have to race someone or launch an attack rather than going onto cold tyres late. So maybe that's a different strategy. The durability of these tyres have been quite extraordinary throughout the championship. You couldn't get 2 more extremes going from the heat of Darwin to the freezing temperatures of Canberra.
Here's Rick Kelly, started from pit lane. The Holden young lion. And it's slow going in there. Oh, the lid's open now, so big problems for Rick Kelly from the word go.
Oh, what a shame. Bonded up. Jason Bright hasn't been in yet. So that's an interesting strategy. I think with the fuel use, the cars have got to do about 8 or 9 laps before you can take on a full tank of gas and get to the finish. So the fuel strategy is going to be interesting. So here is Marcus Ambrose in behind Todd Kelly. The order at the moment, Stephen Richards. Todd Kelly moves up to second as a result of Skaife's pit stop. Marcus Ambrose in third. And Marcus Ambrose comes in now. What are the Stone Brothers team going to do?
He's only the 4th driver to come through.
Maybe the strategy is with Holden Racing Team to keep a...
Get the yellow line on the exit, Marcus.
Try and keep a fuller tank of fuel in the car, maybe to work the tyres harder, keep the temperatures up. There's all sorts of strategy going on out there. And Ambrose comes in, they're going for tyres as well. So everyone's following the same strategy at the moment. Look at the pit stop clock. Shell Helix pit stop clock at the bottom of your screen. 9 seconds. Anything under 10 is considered tidy. Anything under 8 is superhuman. Some teams have been doing it.
It was about a second outside the pit stop of Mark Skaife. So Marcus Ambrose did about a 9.1 and Skaife did about an 8.2 or 3.
Stephen Johnson. And they've got to turn this guy around real fast because Paul Radisich is trickling down the pit lane.
Well, Mark, that's exactly right. Bear in mind that in these events, there's only one pit boom. Stephen Johnson goes in just over 12 seconds and Radisich arrives. So it is busy stations down here at the moment. They're not ready. They don't have the tyres for car 18. This is going to be a slow stop for Paul Radisich.
That was amazing, wasn't it, Rusty? I mean, those guys really had only a second. We saw it right on our monitor here. They only had about a second in between one car leaving and the other car pulling up.
One pit boom, Matty, per 2-car team. That's something we've got to remind our viewers.
Can't say that was good planning by the Shell team to bring him in back-to-back like that. Could have left Radisich out on the track for another lap and then brought him in because he's lost a ton of time while that team tried to organise themselves, getting some more tyres.
I guess back-to-back's okay, but nose to tail's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah.
No time to get yourself ready for the next guy to come through. That'll cost him dearly. Mark Skaife has the fastest lap, 1:44.526. He did it on lap 4. We're on lap 5 as Marcus Ambrose gets right up behind Larry Perkins in car number 11. Down State Circle they swing, the highest, the fastest point of this circuit, side by side, and Ambrose goes through. That was a gutsy move coming down there. 5th up to 6th gear, 230 k's plus at times, all the way back to 2nd for the right-hander that is turn 11.
Race leader Stephen Richards comes in and he's taking on fuel first time. So now we've got some different strategy. Bright is your race leader at the moment. He's already made. Just checking on that.
Well, oh, a little bit sideways for Garth Tander.
Bright still to make his first compulsory stop. Just checking. So he's still got 2 stops to make up his sleeve. Look at this challenge by Lowndes down the outside on the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. Garth Tander defending his track position. Bright leading Tander in second, Lowndes in third, Bernard in fourth, Baird in fifth, Faulkner in sixth, Crompton in seventh. First car in the queue to have made 1 compulsory stop. Mark Skaife in 16th position.
This lap, watch the lines on the way in. Nice clean stop.
Lowndes coming in. That's Oscar Fiorinotto, Chief Engineer of Double O Motorsport, telling him to watch the lines. And yes, this man should be extra careful. He got pinged on the exit, ruined his race 1. Hopefully he won't make the same mistake this time around. So Lowndes comes in for the stop. Look at the Shell Helix pit stop clock on the lower left of your screen. Fuel going into the Double O Motorsport Falcon.
Pit lane speed.
And he's back into action, 10 seconds. And that should be enough fuel to get him through to the finish if they've done everything right. Skaife coming in too. You can see the red and white car behind Lowndes. So he's going to come in and top up with fuel to get him to the finish as well. And it's a painfully long process. To see where Stephen Richards is relative to Skaife. That's the interesting story. You might see the overlap. There's a Castrol car. Here he comes now, peeling in.
This will be a quick stop. It's not far enough.
Oh, well, he's lost valuable seconds there.
4 seconds already gone, Mark, at the time that it happened. 9, 10 gone now.
Go.
Stop for fuel.
Just imagine it. At the end of the day, if something doesn't go Mark Skaife's way, that's what will happen. We'll go right back to that and see that there's probably only about a half a metre in it, in the difference, but he gets out in front of Stephen Richards.
So these guys are a long way back in the pack, but this will pretty much be the battle for the lead once these compulsory stops are out of the way. And look at that, he just got out in front of Richards. And he would have been out much earlier if he hadn't stopped just short of his pit bay. The refueling man couldn't reach the fuel input on the back of the car, and they lost 3 or 4 seconds there. So Stephen Richards now with it all to do. He's got to keep Skaife in view, but the Castrol cars have been very fast here all weekend. Russell Ingall's times in race 2 were very, very efficient. And here comes Jason Bright, Holden Racing Team Commodore, to make his first compulsory stop. He's been out there for a while. Valvoline Cummins car, Garth Tander, we saw him carving it up with Craig Lowndes a few laps back. Here comes Bright for his first compulsory stop.
Much cleaner for Jason Bright for fuel. 4 seconds gone so far. We'll see how long this goes by comparison to Mark Skaife. The overflow's 8 seconds versus about 12 for Skaife.
No mistakes this time. Hey, Rusty, just tell us, when Mark Skaife pulled in there, did he just miss the guy in front of him who would have ordered him to stop right on the spot?
I'm not sure, Matty. It was difficult from the angle that I was standing at, but it did look like the stop was short of the mark, and it meant that the guy with the fuel hose couldn't reach across, and they had real dramas at last minute saying, look, I can't reach it, and they had to bring Skaife that little bit further forward.
Just bizarre, isn't it? Paul Wheel exits pit lane, and Jason Richards from Team Kiwi, car 021, and a great performance in race 2. He comes in for tyres.
We'll hear that Russell Ingall has just been given a black flag for crossing the yellow line, and here's the replay on the Nintendo replay, almost a carbon copy of Craig Lowndes. Look at that. And they are being very, very tough. I really don't think the punishment fits the crime with that infringement. It is ridiculous. They don't gain any track position out of it. They're not a danger to anyone, and yet they're given such an enormous penalty.
Oh, up on the inside, Mark Skaife goes through at Holden Corner. That was a slower car, Cat Racing. Simon Wills, he got past. Paul Wheels, his next target. The V8 Supercar website, you can recap this race and look forward to our next round in Barbagallo, Western Australia, round 6 of the 2002 Championship. Every single detail you'll need to know, you'll find it in there as we go on board with the Enforcer, takes it through the flip-flop. Remember, he's got a drive-through penalty to complete at the end of this lap. What's that, 40, 45 seconds from start to finish? of pit lane?
Somewhere around there, 30 to 40 seconds for a drive-through. So that's really going to hurt Russell Ingall.
And on track, Glenn Seaton leads Max Wilson, Anthony Tratt and Jason Bright. But do not pay too much attention to that, because many of the drivers have made 2 pit stops. The actual race leader, taking that into account, is still who else? But he does have some traffic around him, some guys out there who are in striking position, waiting for an opportunity, and there's a lot of race to go.
I'll tell you one guy who's got an absolute license to thrill, and he took it, Craig Lowndes. Look at this. This is after his pit stop, his first lap. Sparks fly from the 00 Motorsport Ford. They told him, get out there and put some fast lap times down, and he took it quite literally. He's on a couple of flyers, Craig Lowndes.
He is really flying. He's in that queue of cars that have already made their compulsory stops. He's 5th behind Skaife, Richards, Kelly, Ambrose and Lowndes. They're right back in the pack, but by the time these compulsory stops get out of the way, the really interesting thing is that Jason Bright's leading this race, and if you look down to the gap between himself and Skaife, the first of the cars to have made 2 stops, it's about 30 seconds, and a pit stop takes about 40, so there could be some interesting overlap when Bright comes in for his final stop.
Yeah, I've spoken to Craig Lowndes' lot, and there's no... Oh, dear me, one of the Castrol cars pulled out and nearly hit Brock's lot. Yeah, I've spoken to Lowndes' lot, there's no damage with the bang against the wall. It's interesting, Jason Richards, the Kiwis car, came in and refueled on the 2nd lap, and 3 or 4 of the teams I've spoken to said, well, they just don't understand how he can refuel on the 2nd lap, because we don't reckon he'll have enough fuel to make it. So if he runs out towards the end, that's the reason why.
Baz, it's interesting too that you almost saw that collision there between one of the Castrol cars and Craig Baird. That's the 2nd time during this race that we've seen that happen between 2 cars. A 40k/h drag race out of pit lane. To quickly update you on Russell Ingall, he thought he had a clutch problem earlier on in the race. The team told him it was a loose wheel, and when he came up pit lane before and he was stuck behind Simon Wills, it did slow his pace up. Wills was coming down slower than 40 k's an hour. As soon as Wills peeled off, Russell picked up pace.
Here's our race leader, Jason Bright. This is going to be fascinating because he's leading this one. He's got about a 30-second lead over his teammate Mark Skaife. Skaife is the first of the cars to have made 2 stops. They are 34.6 seconds. So if these guys are really crack, it takes about 40 seconds, including stopping, to make a pit stop.
Your indicator off.
Massive pressure here. We'll go to the wide shot later on and show you the main straight. When Bright is in making a stop, if Skaife comes into view, that is effectively going to be the battle for the lead in a few laps' time.
Remember, the Holden Racing Team garage is right up the other end of pit lane, so he has to get all the way up there. They'll do the stop.
Pressure here for these crews.
Go, Rusty.
Matthew, I can tell you that they've been weighing up for the last couple of laps when to bring Jason Bright in. He's felt that he's been held up by the traffic and that he wasn't making much ground. What they're trying to do is get him out.
Well, there goes Skaife. Skaife's gone through.
Inside of that yellow line.
Now watch this. Where's he rejoin? There's Skaife and there's Bright.
Yep.
So Skaife is in front of his teammate and will effectively take over the lead.
Max Wilson's in front of Mark Skaife, but Wilson is yet to complete both of his. There's Jason Bright, slots in front of Marcus Ambrose.
Well, Jason Bright. Brad Jones takes over the race lead. Max Wilson, another man to pit.
Oh, contact between Ambrose and Bright.
Wow, that was a big hit too. Look at the damage on the Pertec car.
Long way to go, pal. Long way to go.
Wow.
Smoke starts to billow.
So you're right.
And that's just that side guard rubbing along the top of the front left tyre. He just went right up the rear of Jason Bright.
It's just amazing, isn't it, how these Ford teams race after race after race. When they're in competitive situations, these things happen. So Marcus Ambrose, boy oh boy, he's been in the wars. He's had so much speed, but in between those speed problems,
Garth
problems.
Tander.
Look at the back.
Turn 15, so just as he rejoins the main straight there, currently in 30th position, a little bit of a flame on the right rear, becoming a big flame
about
on
30,
the right rear.
30 degrees of toe in on the back wheel as well.
Yeah.
Something seriously broken in that rear end.
These cars do have a fire system, a safety system. There's a couple of buttons that activate it. Basically, if the marshal...
A lot of damage on the front of the car, and that tyre's going to be back in very shortly.
If the marshal gets to that car, there'll be a little red button just at the front windscreen, and he'll go along and push that, and it'll activate some powder that'll go through the car and deactivate any fire. So Marcus Ambrose comes in to survey and fix the damage on the Pertec Ford Falcon. He got swamped at the start of this race. He started on pole position, a 4th and a 6th. He's really fought hard. It was an electrifying performance in race 2 to see the way that he went through the field.
Yeah, I'm down here just having a look. There's the left front wing sort of hanging off, and they can't get the wheel off, the left front off, because the spoiler, the front air dam is against the wheel. Let's just have a little look here. Oh boy, yeah, what a struggle. Now they're going to have to pull the air dam forward. They've got their old tyre lever in now. Giving it a bit of a go.
Oh, that's ugly.
That's going to be a struggle. And then they've got to get the wing. The wings come off at the back of the front of the wing, if it makes any sense. Is you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be...
it's a lot worse than it looked coming in.
It is. It was a fair old whack, whatever it was. It's done the bonnet... it's broken the clips on the bonnet, so they're going to need to take that down. And just looking at the back of it, they're in a dilemma. I think they'll just do away with the wing, I reckon. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to do away with it.
You ever get a dent to the front of your car, don't take a sledgehammer to it. That's what these guys have to do.
It's going to be safer to get shot of the wing. Because if that came off when somebody was firing them, it wouldn't change the whole outlook on life, wouldn't it?
So Brad Jones continues to lead this race, but he's still to make another compulsory stop.
Same with Max Wilson, who now goes in, and that means that we've now got clear road for our race leaders. There it is, Mark Skaife, Stephen Richards and Todd Kelly. A Holden 1, 2, 3 at the moment. And the way Stephen Richards has been racing and has this car set up, I guess he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on the 4-time series champion in front of him.
Marcus Ambrose exits pit lane with a badly bent Pertec Ford. Max Wilson coming in for his stop for tyres, but I can tell you, the Better Electrical team have had enormous dramas trying to talk to Marty Nice, particularly down the back straight. They had to resort to just about all the team hanging over the wall and signalling to him to come on into the pits.
Mark Skaife is the race leader. Stephen Richards is second. Todd Kelly's third. Jason Bright is fourth. Craig Lowndes is the top place Falcon at the moment. He's in fifth, just behind Bright. Here's the collision. Not quite sure what happened there, but just an obvious miscalculation. Ambrose has gone right into the back of Bright's car. Bit of damage on the back of the number 2 Holden as well. Gee. But Ambrose came off second best, as you can see on the Nintendo GameCube replay.
That's a second gear corner that they did that on, coming into turn 9. As Garth Tander walks back, I can also tell you that Paul Radicic had a little bit of an incident coming into turn 1 and ended up in the runoff as well. GT's day is over.
Matthew, I can tell you that as far as Paul Radicic is concerned, or at least one of the Shell Fords, may be in some trouble here. A lot of the teams are on the radio warning their drivers that there is some oil down at turn 16, and they believe it is coming from the DJR cars, or one of them. I believe it's Radicic. The team is standing by.
Oh. Yeah, I'm with Garth. What happened, Garth?
It's broken something in the rear hub or something like that. I was slowly getting along and along a brake pedal, and obviously a rear wheel bearing's gone or something like that, because she had a bit of an oil fire then when after I finally got it off the circuit. So I was lucky to keep it off the walls.
Nice weekend, eh?
Yeah, great place this, love it.
Thanks, Garth.
Yeah, it has not been a kind place. Garth Tander brought his 2000 campaign undone. Another man who's been struggling all weekend is Cameron McConville and the Lansvale Racing Team. You can see that front left wheel wobbling around, some sort of failure in the steering gear. So you can just see what a car breaker this place is. Massive curbs, concrete walls, off-camber turns. It really does give them a pounding.
It's incredible to think that they go away from one round, go testing some of them, try and fix their problem, get here with brand new shiny cars, and they leave here looking like they've just gone 15 rounds with Mike Tyson. Paul Radicic, that's what happened to him. Couldn't turn it right at the top of the main straight. They're trying to sort out a field that has cars going left and right, and on both sides here, left and right, you've got concrete no matter where you are. That's car number 14, Wayne Wakefield, the third driver to be behind the wheel of the IMS car for season 2002, and that probably will be a safety car. Let's recap the state of play at the moment, almost halfway through race 3. Mark Skaife is our leader. Stephen Richards is bearing down on him. Todd Kelly in position 3. Jason Bright in 4. Lowndes in 5. 6 was Bernard. 7 was Johnson. Right down to the top 10. That includes Greg Murphy. The Stegbar Canberra 400 continues with more. I see you.
We're back, and this is one of the reasons why we have a safety car out in the Stegmar Canberra 400. Wayne Wakefield just overcooking that corner at the end of the main straight. Now Garth Tander spinning, struggling, finished up on the grass. His car had to be towed or carried back to pit lane, and that is why we've had the race under a safety car nearly halfway through race 3.
Stand here with a very interested spectator for race 3 today. Steve Waugh, how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, really enjoying, mate. It's certainly exciting to watch live.
You went for a ride with Brad Jones yesterday. Not your first motorsport experience, but did it blow your mind still?
Yeah, the most terrifying so far, but yeah, it was a great experience. And to see those guys' skill factor and how tough it is in the car and how much they actually work on the wheel and their pedals, it was really good to watch.
Glad to see you here enjoying the action, mate. Get back and enjoy the race. It's about to restart.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
It's all about trust, those hot laps, isn't it? You've got to have total trust in the guy behind the wheel. The Munro safety car pulls into pit lane, and race 3 restarts with 26 laps to go. Mark Skaife is our leader. Stephen Richards is right behind him, and Todd Kelly's in there as well. It's a freight train through turn 1, and no dramas to speak of, thankfully, at this stage. Neil Crompton's there. Simon Wills is behind him. And at the moment, out in front, car number 1, leading cars 16 and 15.
Well, what can Craig Lowndes do here? Before the safety car came out, he was consistently the fastest car on the track. There he is in 5th. Best place forward at the moment with David Bernard, who's done a very good job to find his way up into that position, and he's got one of the cleanest looking cars in the field. David's really kept his nose clean for most of the weekend.
If only Craig Lowndes could get some luck go his way, maybe we can see something start to happen for the 00 Motorsport team this weekend. He's been consistently quick, as Mark Osler said. He started this event from pole position for race 1, and then things started to unravel. He had a 9th in race 1 and a 16th in race 2. And of course, the yellow line drama will be talked about for years for Craig Lowndes. David Bernard is right behind him in the Stone Brothers Racing Caltex Haviline Ford Falcon.
I just hope for Ford fans around the country, these Fords can work together here rather than taking themselves out, which they have had a propensity to do, because there's a flock of Commodores right in front of them. Mark Skaife, Stephen Richards, Todd Kelly, Jason Bright, then Craig Lowndes. Big high horsepower queue hoiking the wheels up over the curbs as they come through the Canberra complex back toward the Ford sweeper. Have a look at the replay of the restart. You can see a real traffic jam happening at turn 1. Look at that.
Anthony Tratt just caught with nowhere to go, because one of the better electrical cars must have been Tony Longhurst. No, in fact, it's Max Wilson. Oh, gives Glenn Seaton a push up the bum.
Another one?
Yeah, and Max Wilson then forced Anthony Tratt behind him to take evasive action, but unfortunately evasive action at turn 1 means concrete, like turn 1 through to 15.
Well, one man who hasn't had a good weekend, and you're not alone, because a lot of people had rotten weekends. Paul Radisich, what put you out in the Shell 18 car?
Hi, Mark. It really started in the second race where John Bow had an accident in the wall and come straight back and hit my car and put us out of the second race. And of course, going into this one, we had a few little dramas, and it lost all the power steering fluid sort of halfway through. So tough weekend, and this place is a real tough little place to try and crack, and it's hard on mechanical equipment.
Larry Perkins has come in, guys. He's broken the right rear suspension. He believes the shock bolts have gone. The guys took the tyres off, put cold tyres on, and Larry said, whatever you do, take them back off and put warm tyres back on it and try and fix this right rear shock. Let's just hope this problem, whatever it is, doesn't filter through to maybe affect Stephen Richards.
Yeah, bad news for Larry. I guess, Paul, you've got to ride a very fine line here. It's all very well saying you can race for survival, but you can't just cruise around on a Sunday drive. You've actually got to get into it, but keep the car clean.
You do, and the curbs, it just take, even if you don't touch anything, just going over the curbs, the amount of shock that goes through the whole vehicle is very severe, and you just have to push the car to the limit, because if you don't, you just go backwards.
Beautiful move there while you were talking, Paul, by Jason Bright, snuck down the inside of Todd Kelly.
And now Craig Lowndes is having a look on the inside of Todd Kelly as well. Let's go on board with Lowndes. Up the main straight, the order is Skaife, Richards, Bright, Kelly and Lowndes. Bernard's behind him, then it's Ambrose.
Tough stuff. Craig Lowndes, he felt the wrath of the officials. Race 1 yesterday when he crossed the yellow line. Now he's fought his way right back into this battle. There's Bright. There's Todd Kelly. And Craig Lowndes, the first of the Fords. There's 3 Fords in a row there. Look at how closely Todd Kelly is shaving those apexes. Wheels up on the curbs, clipping the rubber tyre markers.
But you have to do that lap after lap, because if you don't, you know, the concrete walls come up real quick, and it's the only way that you can keep the car in on the apex of the corner, believe it or not.
Is the track as narrow as it appears, or is it an optical illusion because the concrete walls are right on the edge of the circuit?
It actually looks wider here on television than it is in real life. Believe me, it's very, very narrow. This morning I was doing some burnouts in the VB Challenge, and it was just enough room to turn the car around in a circle, so it gives you some idea how tight it is.
No room for error. And this is a big handful of motor car to juggle around here, Paul. 600 horsepower, 1,350 kilos. Is this a track where the cars feel really big, but quite monstrous because of their weight?
They don't. No, they don't. When you're in them, the cars feel quite small and compact. But of course, when you get beside another car, yeah, then you realise how big they are, and how small everything around you is. But trying to stop the car is the real problem here, and you're trying to go past the 200 braking markers every lap to try and just go a little bit further. It takes a lot of effort to pull the cars up.
On board here with Craig Lowndes, right in the thick of this action. We go right up above the circuit as they sweep under Commonwealth Avenue. Through the sweeper up onto the main straight. Lowndes getting very close to the back of Kelly's car. He goes to the outside as they come down pit straight. Very narrow bit of racetrack here. But Todd Kelly, well positioned on the inside, moves over to cover his line. This would have to be the hardest track in the country to pass on, would I be correct?
Yeah, it is, Mark. And Adelaide is tough, but this one's even tougher. And just looking at Craig's car there, this weekend they've really got the car going very well. Just looking at the way the car is sort of sitting on the track, and his car it's using the tyres very, very well.
It looks very spectacular when you see the cars coming bouncing off the curbs with the wheels up in the air, but it's actually costing you time. Because look at those Holden Racing Team cars, particularly, they float over the curbs almost like they're on air.
Yeah, well, that's the trick, you know. It's all about a balance and a compromise with the setup, and he who gets the better setup and enables the car to go around the corner and use the curbs, smoothing land on the other side is going to be the quickest. They've done the homework, and they're very, very competitive and very quick. And you know, because there's not that much testing time and there's not much practice time when you get to the tracks, you know, you've got to come out with a car that's fast to start with, and if you don't, you're catching up all the time.
Look at that on the Nintendo replay. Boy, oh boy, Stephen Richards with a handful of opposite lock, kept it away from the concrete walls. It actually looked closer than that on the camera. Look at this, Jason Bright, more than a sniff down the inside.
Got him. Has he?
Richo wants to argue. They're going to go side by side through the complex.
Little bump.
He is one tough customer. Stephen Richards.
No, you'll get another chance, mate. You'll get another chance. Just take the spot. Plenty of laps to go, mate.
It's coming out of the Holden Racing Team with Jason Bright getting the orders at 22 laps to go, but they're staging a good battle, these guys. Richards and Bright fighting hard together.
And dare I say it, we've talked about it a lot this weekend because there has been the threat all weekend, and that is the potential for rain. Still here to perhaps spoil Mark Skaife's party as he chases 5 consecutive round victories. Stephen Richards not that far behind him. In fact, he has cut into the Skaife margin. Perhaps Mark has wound it back a little bit to conserve tyres because he was about 2.5 seconds ahead of Richards. Now it's down to 1.8 the last time they crossed the start-finish line at least. And Richo, of course, having to defend, let alone attack Mark Skaife. He's got to keep Jason Bright, his teammate, off his tail.
On board with Greg Murphy and David Bernard, you just saw come flying through the windscreen, or out the front of the windscreen, thankfully not through it, of Greg Murphy and the Kmart Commodore, who's got some straight line speed to put a move on Bernard and gets him.
Wow, Murphy has been flying. He has really fought his way back from the back of the grid. Had a pretty crummy points haul for this one.
He started from position 32 and he's up to 7th, made that 6th by the time they cross the line here.
This is what happens in these races. These guys get a real move.
Oh, Bright and Richards
come to tears
at turn 1.
Well, they were going at it so hard, and now that'll move their closest pursuers, Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes, up to 2nd and 3rd. What an expensive mistake.
And on the flip side, that couldn't have been any better for Craig Lowndes. Like you say, he's going to move up the tree. So Mark Skaife gets through here, no problems at all. But now watch this, tangle.
Bright locked everything up on the back, went in too deep under brakes. Richards under attack. And fortunately, both cars managing to get going again. So Bright just a little bit overcooking it.
Oh, I mean, there's barely enough room for two cars pointing in a straight line there, let alone one sidewards and the other straight.
Just goes to show how hard he was trying, how hard he was pushing. Locked up the rear brakes, slid off down the escape road, just kissed that rubber tyre buffer. And both cars getting back, but they've lost a lot of track position. Here now is the battle for second between Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes. Lowndes moving up the order. Top placed Ford. He's now in the top three. On board with the 3 times national V8 Supercar champion. Craig Lowndes really turning it on here. He's had good speed all weekend. He was robbed of that race 1. The sign being shown down there to one of these two cars. I'm interested to know what that's about.
Well, who does that benefit? The Richards Bright incident will benefit these guys, obviously Kelly and Lowndes, but also Murphy as well. Here's Glenn Seaton in exactly the same spot. He'll go onto the runoff. It looks like Anthony Tratt that he got tangled up with, and he ends up on the grass as well at the first turn. Here we go, Lowndes and Kelly. They're going to go through like two sensible race car drivers would and not bother to mess each other up. Turn 2 is the sweeper. You're on board with Craig Lowndes. Now we take a look at car number 40, Cameron McLean. This is the back of the field. Tratt, McLean, and McLean in the VIP Pet Foods racer has a bad wheel. Smoke starts to pour out. Stephen Ellery went past. Simon Wills goes around the outside, and McLean will have to pull into pit lane.
Lap 34 of 50. Cameron McLean limps off. There's still plenty of laps here for a lot more drama to unfold.
Lap 34 of 50. Here we are on board now with Craig Lowndes. That's such a scary thought. Bill Woods, underpants, no thanks. 00 Motorsport putting pressure on Todd Kelly, who's got the lights on. They go through the Canberra complex and pick up the Ford sweeper.
5 seconds the gap to race leader Mark Skaife. Here's the battle for second. Lowndes closes right up through the Ford sweeper.
16 laps, Craig. 16 laps to go.
Oscar Fiorinotto on the headsets to his driver Craig Lowndes, giving him information that he needs. He's trying to set this car up in front for a passing manoeuvre. As Paul Radisich said when he joined us for commentary a short while ago, the toughest circuit in the country to overtake on. Problems for Steve Ellery. That's down at turn 1 as well. Oh no,
that's
the
through the
batteries,
through the chicane there. So that's the exact same tyre wall that Stephen Ellery slammed into in qualifying. I think you're pointing out the front left there. Yep, all bent out of shape. So that car is probably not going too far.
Down to Holden turn once again. Craig Lowndes continues to apply the pressure.
It's in a precarious position.
Kelly responding magnificently.
Sorry, Marco. It's in a precarious position, this super cheap auto car. If he can't get it going, take a look where it ends up. So he comes through the chicane here and clips that tyre wall, and that's your problem.
Just rip the front wheel sideways, maybe snapped a steering arm or something.
Yeah, there's a runoff there, so at least they should be able to pull it back. He's still stuck in the car. And isn't that something that we've seen a lot of Stephen Ellery from this weekend?
Hopefully they'll throw a safety car.
So hopeful of a safety car to get Steve out of that situation. He's certainly not going to drive out of there. I think he's...
Strip tyre DOA.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the safety car's coming out at will. The safety car will come out.
He is stranded on that red strip.
Safety car boards, Craig. Safety car boards.
Oh, this is going to close up the field. It'll mean that Mark Skaife, when they rejoin, will have these two right on his hammer. Skaife, Kelly and Lowndes, and Greg Murphy right up now in the 4th position.
Murph behind you has got reasonably good car speed.
This is going to be...
So at the moment, you're on the podium, but only just. We need to, if we can, get past Kelly. Are you in reasonable shape at the moment? Yeah, not too bad. I'm lacking a bit of drive, but really the car itself is pretty good, Nick. Todd at the moment is getting a lot of brake fade, okay? So he's weak there. Todd's weak under brakes at the moment.
Just an example of the interchange of information. And here we get ready for the start. It's going to be a sprint to the flag, and look at the level of competition in that leading queue. Mark Skaife, Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes, Greg Murphy. They get the power down, and away they go. Who's going to win this one? Head down toward turn 1. Flash past the pits. 200 kilometres an hour. Hard under brakes into turn 1. Nice clean start so far. And not too much fisticuffs going on back in the pack.
We've got such an awesome battle waiting to unfold. Skaife, of course, out the front has been untouchable this season. Kelly, as we heard on the discussion with Craig Lowndes' team, seems to be having some sort of problem under brakes. Well, that's the view of the Ford guys anyway. Lowndes has got heaps of pace in his car. Murphy has got extraordinary race pace in the Kmart Commodore. We've got a battle for first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down to 10th, if you like, to finish this one off. At the moment, Mark Skaife's out in front. And here's on board as we take a look out the back of Craig Lowndes' 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon. And Greg Murphy, car number 51, the lights are on. It's getting pretty dark here.
Yeah, this will be a great relief for Greg Murphy. You can see he goes right back to first gear for the Canberra complex. Belts it out of here, up to second, up to third, fourth. And this is one of the most difficult corners to get right.
Neil Crompton.
Yeah, he's been having a whole lot of problems this weekend, Crompton.
That was that first gear where Greg Murphy just took us through the Canberra complex, so Cromley just lets the traffic go through and then rejoins the race. Greg Murphy is all over the tail of Craig Lowndes, who's caught in a Kmart sandwich at the moment.
So the only man out of step in that leading queue is Marcus Ambrose. He's done well to pick up this leading duo, but he's of course a lap down as a result of that incident. But David Bernard is well and truly in this battle. So it's Skaife, Kelly, Lowndes, Murphy, Bernard, Johnson, Bow, Stephen Richards and Jason Richards. This is difficult for these guys. The car's so even now. Look at Skaife just inching it out. 1.7 seconds the lead now over Kelly. So as we've seen all weekend, Holden Racing Team cars handling the bumps very well. Let's look at the Nintendo replay. Crompton gets right out there on the white lines. And the back of the car came around very quickly.
Cameron McLean in the VIP Pet Foods car gets a bit too cosy with the tyre wall.
Well, it's late in the day. Everyone's down to the best of their used tyres. You quite often see this toward the end of a race, particularly a 50-lapper like this one.
There's a big bump in the road there too, isn't there? A big dip at about the 50-metre braking board. A couple of them have been caught out on it. If you're going to have any trouble going in there, that bump will exaggerate the trouble by tenfold. And, oh, what a mess of Glenn Seaton. The whole front of the Ford Credit Falcon is a wreck. Somehow he's going to try. Look at the steam and the smoke coming out of the right-hand side there. Somehow he's just going to try and limp it back to a safe position. I think that's down right on the bottom part of this circuit around turn 15. Now it's through the Canberra complex around the back. And oh, there's nothing worse than crashing your car, but crashing your car right in front of a whole heap of Holden fans when you're a Ford driver is probably a little bit worse. Paul Wheel, car number 43, maybe that's where the tangle came up with. And there's lots of damage to the K&J Thermal Ford Falcon as well.
This is like a smash-up smash-up derby at Parramatta Raceway. Unbelievable. Look at that.
Max Wilson, another victim. Yet another one.
Well, there's 3 radiators the wheels will have to come up with.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to do a brisk trade.
There's been so much front-end damage, hasn't there? Almost every major damage that's taken place has all involved the front end. This is Jason Bargwanna. Is it car number 35? It has to be, because his teammate's out, so he managed to get through relatively unscathed. Now, Wheel and Seaton are still on the road when that turn was taken, but down here, Max Wilson goes wide and crunch.
Boy, Max has been involved in... Max has been involved in an awful lot of sheet metal surgery today.
Larry Perkins also caught up in that one. Mark Larkham as well. Paul Morris goes around. And Max Wilson.
We hear that Todd Kelly, as Glenn Seaton checks out the damage on the Ford Credit Falcon, Todd Kelly has been shown a bad sportsmanship flag for balking Craig Lowndes. Now, that's interesting. 45 laps of 50. The driver's code allows for a bit of covering your line toward the end of a race, but maybe they consider that Todd started that condition too early. So he's still in the sandwich there. So the bad sportsmanship flag basically says that the driver has to correct his behaviour, and if not, they'll show him a black flag.
Been giving a bad...
Yeah, just the same information getting through there to Craig Lowndes, talking about Todd Kelly in front of him.
On Kelly.
Keep the pressure on Kelly is the word, because they may be able to force him into a black flag situation.
Paul, what happened?
I think Max Wilson got turned around, and then it was just big nose to tail. I was behind Glenn and had nowhere to go, and I didn't run into him, but then Larry come charging up behind us and just shunted us straight into us. That's the problem with this track here. If you have a bit of bad luck like we did today, you get caught back with all the other guys who are just going to take each other out. And guys use their common sense. This would be a great race, especially with reverse grid, but you know, unfortunately it can't happen.
Lots of damage, boys.
Yeah, is there what? Tell you what, this is going to be interesting to see what the officials do here, because there is allowance for covering your line toward the end of a race. That's a well-known rule in the drivers' briefings. What are they going to determine, having already showed Todd Kelly the bad sportsmanship flag for balking? What are they going to do toward the end of this race? It's a tricky one. Lowndes goes to the inside. Todd Kelly moves across. So real pressure driving here. Lowndes has got it all to do. He's trying to overtake the car in front. He's got another Kmart car with headlights blazing right up behind him. And he's the only Ford in contention for a top 3 position at the moment. Oh, another better electrical car hits the wall.
Tony Longhurst, is it, or Max Wilson trying to make his way back? Where did that come from? That's a big mess. Oh, heavy under brakes. Craig Lowndes. Does that allow Greg Murphy through? No, not yet. Turn 11.
Laps running out for Craig Lowndes to make his move. Greg Murphy is so close behind Craig Lowndes' car. He's almost stuck to the back of it. This battle has been going on lap after lap after lap, and no one has been making a forced error. There's the bad sportsmanship flag being shown again to Todd Kelly. So what is going to be the decision here?
Lap 46 of 50 now. If they stay this way with Mark Skaife winning this race, Todd Kelly coming second and Lowndes coming third.
4 laps. He's been giving a bad sportsmanship flag. Keep pressure on.
Well, that's a worthy tactic from the crew. They want to force him into a black flag situation.
Hey, I don't think Craig Lowndes needs any encouragement to keep the pressure on at the moment, because he's been doing a spectacular racing. You can watch this kind of stuff all day. And Lowndes is making a habit out of making a spectacle out of these races. Even when Skaife's gone out far in front, Lowndes has shown that he's got everything that it takes to make excitement plus when he's working his way through the field. The point that I was going to make was that Skaife, Kelly and Lowndes, if they finish that way in the race order, that will reflect the way that it'll finish overall in the round order as well. And as Woodsy mentioned, Mark Skaife will collect 340 points out of a possible 400.
Timing, I was going to say, Matty, the timing of this bad sportsmanship flag just seems a bit odd. I mean, and they're showing it to him right toward the end of the race when they said drivers did have a bit of leeway in terms of protecting their position. I don't know if they had a concern with him blocking. They didn't do it 10 laps ago.
Well, Lowndes needs something to go his way in this round, and maybe that's the kind of thing that'll do it for him.
Can't expect Todd Kelly to move over and wave him through now.
No chance whatsoever. The visor's up because it's getting pretty dark here. 3 laps to go for Craig Lowndes. He's got the sawn-off steering wheel. Allows him a full view of the dash and all the information that he needs, which is right on that wheel, in fact. The LED readout. So Todd Kelly still holding off. Craig Lowndes and Greg Murphy goes off on the side. A little bit of damage to the front right, but rejoins, no problems.
Just got the rears locked up a fraction. He got out of the middle pedal. That got him back into control, but he dropped right off the back of that battle.
3 laps. No pressure from Murphy. No pressure on Kelly.
Bit of smoke now puffing from the back of Craig Lowndes' car. If you have a look at that, might have been a result of that tap from Greg Murphy. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see the damage on the back of the 00 Motorsport Ford, but it doesn't look too serious.
There's frantic activity going on down here at Kmart Racing at the moment. Crew Chief Rob Crawford is going through the rulebook. That's the boys there that you can see them. Now, I think this has all got to do with Todd Kelly being shown the bad sportsman flag. They're going to keep him there for the moment, and they're going through the rules.
Seems crazy. There's 48 laps down.
Only 2 laps to go. They're doing 1:44, so 3 minutes of racing time to go, basically. And like you say, it's strange timing, but it also doesn't leave them very much time to go through the rule book, because the rule book is about 3 inches thick. Greg Murphy, that was the incident involving Murph there at the Canberra complex.
Tony Fredrickson from Kmart Racing has just informed me the reason they are going to the rule book is that they believe that Todd is faster in one particular sector of the circuit and Craig is faster in another, so they believe they have a right to hold their position.
Yeah, I would have thought so, particularly this late in the race. They can start waving bad sportsmanship flags at 20 or 30 laps, but hardly at 47, 48.
And you think of all the drama that's unfolded at the rear of the pack in especially race 1 and then this race. Of course, the reverse grid race was a different story altogether. You think of all the drama from positions 2 right down to 34. That's where all the drama's been. But out in front, it's been a case of clear road and no worries whatsoever. And that's exactly why Mark Skaife will walk away the winner of round 5, the Stegbar Canberra 400. He's been out in front. That's where there's no trouble.
Yeah, guys up in the box, isn't there some regulation that says you're allowed to cover over the last 5 laps of a race?
Well, that's what we were talking about. It just seems funny, the timing to be showing bad sportsmanship toward the end of the race. I don't understand that one.
But I think you'll find that you're allowed to cover the last 5 laps of the race, but I think you'll find what happened. He got the bad sportsmanship flag about 7 or 8 laps before the end.
Yeah,
so what they're doing now is saying, well, hang on a minute, we hung the flag out.
Well, it's a grey area, though, Baz, because they never determine exactly how many laps from the end is considered to be bad sportsmanship.
I thought it was 5 laps from the end.
Yeah, but in terms of laps before that, it's never quite clear, when they want to start doing that.
Yeah, that's one of those grey areas that they can use wherever they like, can't they, whenever it suits them.
There's quite a few of them. We're just taking a look at David Bernard here in position number 5, car number 9. And then further back through the field, that was Jason Bright going through. Stephen Richards and Jason Bright, 8 and 9. They blew a golden opportunity to put the pressure on Mark Skaife when they got tangled up together at the top of turn 1. Richards and Bright, 16 and 2. And they're in positions 8 and 9. That's more than likely how they'll finish. And another good performance from Jason Richards behind them in the black Team Kiwi car 021. And obviously our viewers throughout New Zealand would be enjoying this weekend, the Stegbar 400 weekend. Thanks for watching as Jason Bright comes down the outside. This is the sharp right-hander, so he won't get in there.
So Bright,
final lap.
Yep, battling it out for the last positions in the top 10. So what can Craig Lowndes do here?
Last lap.
Well, it's going to make Craig put the eyes on. He's got nothing to lose. Sitting down in 6th position in the championship. Let's have a look at this Nintendo replay.
The big don't argue through the complex. Just in case you didn't notice that I was there, Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes puts the nose of the 00 green-eyed monster up the rear of the Kmart Commodore. Mark Skaife's got a bit of traffic in front of him. Just there, that's turn 10. Parliament House is on the left-hand side as they sweep down State Circle for the last time, coming up to turn 11.
See Craig getting sideways under power there as he came through the turn. Holden corner, up to Falcon corner, swung onto State Circle with plenty of power, a little bit of wheel spin. Now he's trying to find a way past Todd Kelly, but I think unless Todd makes a mistake, this is pretty much like trying to force your way through a brick wall.
Can you believe just how dominant Mark Skaife has been in terms of collecting points throughout the first 5 rounds of this championship? He's more than double the points clear of his nearest rival, which was Greg Murphy coming into this round. He's just a points machine. They started with a double points round in Adelaide and he took them, thank you very much. Another 340 points go in the bag of the 4-time series champion. 5 out of 5 and the streak is alive for Mark Skaife.
Great job, boys. Unbelievably good.
Todd Kelly comes across in second. Craig Lowndes, congratulations and thanks for providing an outstanding race to come across in third, and same to you, Greg Murphy, who worked his way up. All the way from the back of the Greg Murphy, comes up to finish in 4th position.
That's what you've got to keep doing. That is just a fantastic effort from you, bloke.
Let's take a look at your Shell Helix race score and make it as official as we can. Mark Skaife crosses the line in first. Now this is how they finished race 3. Later on we'll show you exactly what it means in terms of championship points. Kelly and Lowndes on the podium as well. What a spectacular drive from Greg Murphy. David Bernard in good position. 4 of the Fords in the top 8. So 4 and 4 evenly split. Jason Bright, Russell Ingall, Jason Richards, Tony Longhurst and Bradley Jones. That's how they finished race 3 of the Stegbar Canberra 400.
In terms of the championship, Mark Skaife is absolutely dominant. About twice the number of points of now Todd Kelly, who was taken over from Greg Murphy, second in position before this round. Marcus Ambrose hanging in there with another consistent weekend, but things just not going his way. And you can say the same for Craig Lowndes as well. And we hope that you've enjoyed this round of the V8 Supercar Championship. On behalf of the entire crew, thanks for joining us. We hope you'll be with us next time. Bye for now.
Gonna need a gap filler. Gonna need a puddle sucker too. Might also need a Jenny.
And another Sanger.
Whatever you need, Coates Hire has a million pieces of equipment. Call 13 15 52.